Recorded live in Balcatta, Western Australia, the Hoon capital of the world, this is Talkin' Power.
Gap is what happens when you hold to the floor and crush the man next to you. There's space in between your back lumbar and your front lumbar. We, in the South, we refer to it as the gap band.
Well, I think, Formula One is for grown-ups.
Good evening, mate.
So, what about the sideways? You've got a race in your own lane. Now he's on the grass, he brings it back. That's a great driving there.
Torque and Power, your motoring and motorsport podcast.
Okay, it is the Talk and Power podcast, episode 33. I'm Nick DiCembri, and I'm with Simon Gonzo Travellini. How are you, Simon?
Good, mate. Massive weekend of motorsport.
It was a massive weekend. Huge. We have arguably one of our biggest stars that we've had to date on the podcast on the line right now.
Arguably, without a doubt, our biggest star.
We'd like to welcome Kelly Bettes, the first Australian Top Fuel female champion. Welcome, Kelly. How are you?
Hello. Well, that's pretty nice introduction there, if it's the biggest star.
Kelly, big congratulations. I mean, to be able to have the opportunity to drive a Top Fuel car is, incredible. To win a race is just unbelievable. To win a championship, that and arguably in the toughest season, the most subscribed Top Fuel events in probably the last 15 or 20 years. Big effort, huge, and to be the first female, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the way you just spelled it out there is kind of how it was all going for me as the season went, like it started with, holy moly, I've got an opportunity to drive a Top Fuel car, and that was just blowing my mind at the start anyway, and to be honest, it still does. And then, obviously the first goal was driving the car and showing the team that they chose me for a reason. I can do it for them, and then once we kind of got through that, I guess, process of showing Phil that I can handle and can drive the car, then it came to having, getting a win in it, which was one of the biggest things for me at the time in achieving. And then next minute we won another event, and then another event after that, and coming into the Winternationals, at the start of the season, we had kind of our hopes for the championship had been lost a little bit because of the first event. We had some troubles with the car, and it being an elimination round, it kind of we copped a fair thing with no points for that round, and Damien Harris obviously won it, and that he picked up a whole lot of points on us because it was an elimination round, and then there wasn't due to be another elimination round until the Winternational. So to try and catch up on that points lead that he got there, we kind of thought all hope was lost. Yeah. But who would have thought the season ahead you were going to take out 3 wins then put yourself in contention?
Talking about that, so your first win was at the Sydney event at the Santos Summer Thunder. Right, you also run a PB 383 with a 2.
Yes.
So this is your first win for the season, and it lifts you to 3rd in the points. Right, this was January 2018. At this stage, are you starting to get the sense that the championship is up for grabs?
At that stage, I thought, we could either, in my head, I was thinking, well, this will be great. We should finish 2nd or 3rd in my first full season. That's fantastic in my head kind of thing. The possibility of then, you wouldn't have even thought that you could go then and win the next 2 events, and, obviously it all surrounded by what Damien did at those events as well. But, I think at that point of the season, I was like, you know what, this would be pretty cool if we can, have some good results from here on in and end up being, 2nd or 3rd.
Moving on from there, it was a really amazing season with many firsts. One of them that we'll all remember, and we spoke about it on our podcast, was the all-female Top Fuel final, which was the first time. That was at the Gulf Western Oil Nitro Thunder.
Nitro.
Yep. In Sydney. Now, that was against,
Rochelle.
One of our favourite races of all time, young Rochelle.
Yeah.
What at that you would win there and actually take the lead. You must have had, from that point onwards, the confidence must have really been up and about. You must have been up and about at that point.
From that point on in that event, I took a lot of confidence out of that, and I mean, I think I had more confidence going into the Winternationals than what Phil did himself. But he was stressing out so much, and I'm like, Phil, just chill out. I said, we have won the last 3 events. We are all confident. I said, just let it keep flowing as it is, and I said, good things will happen with that, and we'll keep achieving, So that final was pretty cool to be there with Rochelle. I'd grown up watching Rochelle in Top Fuel, and I was racing, before I was even racing Junior Dragster, and when I was racing Junior Dragster, I actually wanted my car to be painted like hers and things like that. So it was pretty cool to be in that final, and for it to be, like, for me, the fact that I've reached this point where I'm actually driving a Top Fuel car, and then it's in the, while that's happening, all these firsts are happening as well, like the first female final and all this, and it's amazing for me to have Top Fuel's been happening for so long, but for now to be making all those firsts and be down in history for all that is pretty awesome.
So I just want to take you back to when you started, when you were driving Junior Dragster. Now you became the inaugural JD champion for Australia, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
And that was back in 1998, yeah?
1998, yeah. The first year that they offered a championship for the category was the one, that's when I took it out for the first time. So that's why they say first ever, Australian Big Dragster Championships is the first time it was ever offered. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
So coming from a family of drag racers, with your father running at Willowbank and brother Scott also racing, and your mother actively involved, how important, how involved have they been in your journey?
They've been in it 100% all the way. Whether it's just a support role or actually helping me run the cars and things like that. Like when I was racing the junior, obviously Dad and Mum, that they did the whole thing. And when me and my brother were racing, it was Dad looking after Scott's car and Mum was looking after mine. So she was doing everything, So like they've been a great support from the very beginning, and they're still there today. They're still on the start line. They're still jumping around like crazy people when I win. Like, we are just, as a family, I mean, we are 100% there for each other. I was running to and from the Group 3 pits at the Winternationals trying to see my brother race in modified because he's had a few years out. So it doesn't matter what level that we're racing at. We're all there 100%, that's for sure.
That's great.
Hey, Kelly, at the same sort of time, I read an article in the Australian newspaper. Was it true you wanted to be a ballerina?
Yeah, I was definitely doing the ballerina thing for a few years there. It wasn't long before Junior Dragsters came into the country at all. And my brother was one of the first kids to even drive one in Australia. And then, once that kind of became a part of our life and became a thing at events where Junior Dragsters were actually racing, it kind of pretty much took over the whole ballet thought.
So by 2010, you had won modified championship in the Insane Dragster, and you also won the John Storm Memorial Trophy and the South Queensland Divisional Championship. By this stage, you were definitely you'd followed a traditional path as they would in America. Did you have Top Fuel on your radar back then?
Oh, not even. Like, as you look at Top Fuel and it's just like they're the kings of the sport, and you just sort of go to yourself like, well, you're not ever going to be in that position to drive one of those cars. Like, people sometimes would say to me after having driven the jet racing ute, and they're like, you'll be in a Top Fuel car next, and it's like, yeah, I don't think so. Like, you never actually think you're going to get a call, like, especially in Australia. You don't think you're going to get a call to drive a car for someone when you're a sportsman racer and you're just doing your own thing, and that there's not really too much fuss or anything like that. You really just don't think you're going to get that call. And I mean, it shocked the hell out of me when Phil rang me, and it's still, I mean, I still look at it now. I've got a picture up on my wall of the Top Fuel car, and I just look at it and I'm like, I just can't even believe that I'm driving that thing. It was such a surreal thought. I would never, ever have even thought I would ever drive one.
Yeah. Speaking of cars, I could never imagine driving, or you. Colin Wilshire, we have to touch on his radical pro compact short wheelbase Datsun 1200 Ute. I couldn't think. You went from a dragster in 2010 to arguably the exact opposite in drag racing.
Yeah.
That's gone. You've gone low sevens in that, 714 at 190.
690s, actually.
Oh, really? Wow. Well, I haven't done
there you
my
go.
research very well. Sorry, Kelly.
That's all right.
So, I mean, that's a massive change. How did you adapt to such, a volatile car like his?
Well, I will be honest, I was getting in the dragster. I had the following season when I won the championship, I was leading it again, and then at the Nitro Champs, which is the event before the Winternationals, I unfortunately had a bit of an accident. Anyway, and then that led to me getting to another dragster for then I got that sort of at the end of that year and was racing that for a couple more years. And I did start to feel a bit of an urge of wanting to drive something that had a little bit more craziness about it.
A little bit.
I absolutely love the dragster for the bracket racing side of things, and I just enjoy driving it. It's, very minimal fuss car, and there's not a lot to do with them at the track and stuff, and you can enjoy the event. And nowadays, I'd love to get back in my dragster and drive it. But I just started to feel, and I was sort of thinking, I sell this and maybe buy an altered or something like that. And then just through, a friend at the time, who's now my boyfriend, I was at a dyno session for his drag car, and it just so happened that Rob Novak was there, who was the current driver of the Ute. And I had seen the car, and I was watching it at some of the events, and I just used to say how cool it was, and it just was such a crazy-looking little car, and I just took an interest in it. But all I said to Rob on that night was, geez, I love that car, and it must be so much fun to drive and all this sort of thing. And he was like, oh, yeah, do you want to drive it? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Don't be stupid. Anyway, it kind of stayed at that, and he went back and spoke to Colin, and then next thing I know, I'm at the next Sydney event, and we go via their pit, and Colin turns around and says, I hear you want to drive this thing. And I kind of like...
What was it like getting out of the dragster and getting into... this crazy short wheelbase animal?
It was so nerve-wracking. Oh my God, I was sitting in it and I'm like, Kelly, what have you got yourself into? Like, holy crap. And like Rob Novak on his first burnout in the car, when he first drove it, he totally turned it around 180 degrees in the burnout. And I'm like, oh my God, because they kept saying to me, they're like, just don't do this in the burnout. And I'm like, wow. But, look, I guess, I don't know, I just went into my mode of just learn as much as I could about what I had to do and then just apply that on the run. And I don't know, there's been a bit of a joke since then that me and the Ute were kind of made for each other because it's all gone pretty well. So it's definitely given me some moments, and I've had that thing on two wheels and sideways across the track and into a wall, but we still love each other. It's shaken the crap out of me, that's for sure.
Now,
so yeah, it was quite a crazy transition, really. I mean, there's just so much to think about in that car.
Yeah. Speaking of that car, is it true, have I read correctly, that you're off to Orlando in August to race that car?
Not in August, but it is in October. The car's leaving Australia in August.
Yep.
But yeah, it's actually October that we race it, and that's the weekend before the first Top Fuel event, and then I come back the following weekend to drive the fuel car, and then a couple of weeks later we go back to Orlando and race it at a second event over in America.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So while you're over there, are you going to be handing your drag racing resume around to, maybe the Force team or?
No, no, definitely not. I mean, an opportunity like that doesn't come around very often, and hey, it's not something that I'm going to actively go and chase. That's for sure. I have a lot of loyalty to the people who have given me opportunities in drag racing, and I don't intend on moving away from anything that I'm in currently with the Lamattinas and also Colin as well with the Ute. So, but that's not to say that a lot of people seem to be saying about the American thing, but yeah, like I say, it's not something I'll be actively chasing. I really enjoy what we do over here and how it all happens over here. So yeah, everyone would love to drive an NHRA car at an event, but I suppose the ultimate for me would be something like the Lamattina family or something deciding to do some events over there and me driving over there for them. That'd be great.
So tell us, you debuted in Top Fuel the 2017-18 season with the Lamattina family. How did the deal come together?
Well, literally, I just received a phone call from Phil one day, and he'd actually been trying to ring me for a couple of days, but it was a number I didn't know, and I missed the call, and then I hadn't answered it one other time and left no messages, but I picked it up, and Ben had said it's Phil Lamattina, and I thought, okay, this is interesting. And he just pretty much, it's how Phil is, he's straight to the point. He goes, I'm just giving you a call to see if you'd be interested in driving our Top Fuel car.
Wow.
And, I almost fell over.
How do I get my name on that list?
I just was like, I didn't even know what to do, what to say. The first thing I said to him was a swear word, and which I won't repeat on here, but I had no words. It was, straight away it was like that feeling of, the actual realisation of driving the Ute, I suppose. It's like, oh my God, Kelly, what have you got yourself into? And can you do it? Like, you obviously have all these self-doubt moments, I sort of left the conversation with Phil and said, look, can you give me a day or two to digest this conversation and talk to all my family, and then can I give you a call back? And he's like, yeah, no worries. But basically the deal was they had a few drivers in mind, and for many months, like around 6 months or so, as a family and a team, and they were trying to decide on a driver and who would be suitable and who would fit into the family and the team, and and be good across the board with things as a driver for the media side of things, and so on and so on. So basically they just landed on me being the right decision from a bit of advice from some pretty key people in it all. And, and that's where we are today. And so they asked me, and I was jumping at the opportunity after I was scared to say yes.
So with that in mind, Kelly, how pivotal was, I'm going to say a few names here, Phil Lamattina, Aaron Hambridge, and I'm going to throw Richie Crampton as well, in mentoring you from the time they made the announcement to when you licensed the car. What sort of support did they offer you? Yeah, look, each of them has, supported in major ways. Obviously Phil and Aaron basically taught me how to drive the car. And then Richie, whilst he was here for the Nitro Thunder event that he raced at last year, it was a busy time, so he couldn't really sit there and just have endless conversations about things. But I just sat back and watched what he did. Basically, I just took as much in as I could. We had some little chats here and there about different bits and pieces after a run or whatever, and then, when there was some time or 10 minutes or so to go back, he'd say, but probably the most of the conversations I've had with Richie have been over the phone since. So I definitely went to him with questions, and after I'd had a go at driving the car, I was like, oh, so when it does this or when it does that, and it was good to talk to him because it was his car. So he definitely gave me a lot of advice throughout the whole thing, just different bits and pieces. If there was something that, I just felt like I wanted to ask him, and it was good. Phil is obviously, he's always been there and he's always mentored me through things, and
he can speak from himself being a driver, but at the end of the day as well, each driver is going to be their own kind of style. So he would say, look, this is in general what you can do, and then you pretty much adapt your ways to that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's been good. And then Aaron, well, he's a very chilled out sort of person, so he brings a really calm kind of presence to the whole thing, and where, there might have been moments where Phil was getting a bit like edgy and all that sort of stuff, then I'd go through it with Aaron, and then he would, he'd give me the calmer side of things.
Okay.
So everybody has worked, like it's all worked together at different, everyone's different with the advice and stuff, which has been very good. Been very lucky to have so many people around.
Yeah, yep.
So in your licensing of what we like to call the Carrot King car, you run a 466 at 325 mile an hour. Right? Can you talk us through that? Because, I'm sure that a lot of our listeners, particularly the ones that are into the circuit racing and the motorcycles, it would be hard for them to get their head around jumping into a car like that.
Well, I'll just add, that's 2/10 off the Australian record over the quarter mile.
Yeah.
So that's licensing.
It's in licensing. I know. When you sort of, you're not really meant to have it wound up.
It's really actually hard to back those cars down, and and I mean, that was back down because that car is a 440, 450 car all day long. So, I mean, at its current, what it's performing at the moment, 380s, well, they're 440 passes.
Yeah.
So it kind of was a bit back down, but you just can't do it too much more than that, otherwise you start damaging things and the car won't perform, how it needs to. So, but no, I mean, I pretty much, that first full pass, we were getting a little bit frustrated by then because we'd started to experience some of the problems that we initially faced with that car. So it was getting a little bit tricky for us to actually get it down for a full pass, and I'd done a couple of half tracks and things like that. And then we made a big change on this day because time was kind of like of the essence because I was trying to get licensed to be able to go to Darwin. And this was a few weeks beforehand at Willowbank. So we kind of I had to be licensed on that day to be able to run in Darwin at that Nitro Up North event last year. So they made some big changes in the car and came out, and because we were all, it had to happen on that Sunday, we had to do 2 full runs to get my license, and that's pretty much, 3 would be the max we could have fit in. And I just said to myself, Kelly, no matter how much it scares you or how much it's just blowing your mind, just hold it flat. Hold it flat and do not let go.
It certainly looks straight. I've seen video of it. Looked amazing, that 466 at 325.
The second one, which was that 325, that was an incredibly straight pass. But the actual first one, which was 326 mile an hour, well, that was a little bit more all over the place and just probably got slightly, now in the car, it just got a little bit ahead of me because that was my first time taking it down, and probably my corrections on the wheel in the second half of the track weren't enough, and I sort of went over towards the centre line. But you just didn't even know what happened. I'd stopped the car and I ended up going a bit deep and everything like that because it was just, the speed was out of control, absolutely mind-blowing. And I stopped at the bottom end and I almost was out of breath because you're trying to then pull the car up as well, and you've never really done it before at this speed, and it's just you just had to act on, instinct and everything like that. But I think I just got out of the car and I just didn't even know. I was like, I just don't even know what happened. But it's after you have a little break and you can sit there and process it all in your mind, that's when you start to, it starts to all re-happen in your head and whatnot. And then we went out and did it again a couple of hours later, and from then on you start to take a little bit more of it in.
Yeah, okay. Look, Kelly, I just want to fast forward to the Winternationals again, and I want to talk through the actual championship race. It would be in the semi, as it turned out. You needed to win over Wayne Newby to secure your championship. Can you talk us through that race? Because that, in my eyes, looked pretty close, that race. It wasn't. You didn't walk away with that one. It was, you had to really work for it.
No way. And we knew that would be the case against Wayne. Like, they've had their struggles and whatnot, but they were starting to get their head around that car again. And they had run like an 80 before, and then I think it was a high 80. And then, so it was kind of like we knew that car was going to go down the track. It may not have been like in the pace that we were going or Harris was going, but it was definitely going to put up a fight. And old Wayne's pretty good on the tree too. So I knew that, I just wanted to do what I normally would do because I keep the same kind of level as far as like, how I've got to perform in the car. I pretty much keep that level with anyone I race. But, I knew it wasn't going to be a giveaway, that's for sure. And it ended up, he went in 0.31 on the tree and I went in 0.51 or 52. And we ran the 80 and he ran the 84. So obviously he closed up a little bit on the reaction time there, but we had the ET. So we were, it was a debt, and they put up a good fight. But we got there in the end. So it was, but me being me and the sort of person who likes to earn a win or a championship, I was so happy that the race kind of happened how it did because I really like to earn it,
Yeah, I guess that's the real, the real thing about real races is they'd rather win a close race than a giveaway race. I hear
100%.
loud and clear.
Yeah, 100%. It's like I don't want, I wouldn't want to win any of it just because, this has happened or that's happened. I want to win it showing that the team and my ability,
Well, on the show, we're always spruiking that drag racing is the ultimate equalisation of gender in sport. Have you got a message for young women out there that are doing it hard in other sports?
Yeah, there's nothing that a female can't do. There might be certain levels or whatever that of different things and different sports that can't quite happen when you're a female. But, drag racing, there literally is nothing that a female can't do in a sport that a male can. And it just depends in yourself how much you want to get involved in the cars, back in the pit area and all that sort of stuff. But you can learn a hell of a lot and do absolutely anything you want on these cars. It depends how much you want to apply yourself there. But it's, it's not for the faint-hearted. Like, you can't be a girl. Well, you can be a girly girl, but, you've got to be able to get in and mix it with the boys as well and realise that they're all there working hard for you. So you've got to give back a little bit and also let them know that you're willing to work hard with them, So, look, I just think that females, there's absolutely no reason why they can't feel that they can get involved in drag racing and even try and achieve in any sport that they're involved in because there's nothing we can't do.
Okay. There's another podcast that I listen to quite frequently called The Sounding Board. It's done by Damien Barrett and Craig Hutchison from Croc Media. I presented them with a question in regards to mainstream media and the coverage of your championship. I'm just going to play their thoughts on this to you, Kelly.
Nick, on Facebook, I know drag racing isn't your thing, but they've just crowned its first female Top Fuel champion, Kelly Bettes. What should the organisation have done to get this amazing feat mainstream coverage? I'm not aware of it, and that's probably to Nick's point, isn't it?
I think you've got a great story to tell, like drag racing has with Kelly Bettes. Then you should do everything you can to get it covered while it's newsworthy. And that means buying the airtime, buy it.
Right.
And I think...
Can you buy it? Can you buy it in 2018 in a way that creates mainstream appeal?
Yeah, I'm sure you could. In fact, they could create an event around Kelly now and package it for a network. It would be a good starting point.
Here you go. That was from Croc Media's Sounding Board. So, what did you think of Craig's advice? We're going to start up an event called the Kelly Bettes 1000.
I'm not sure we need to quite go that far, but no, I agree. The media side of things could really grab it, like the sport could really grab a hold of this kind of thing because it is what just the normal, people who don't really know much about drag racing, this is what could prick up their ears and actually create some interest because it is a female achieving in this thing that they would not even think a female could drive.
Kelly, I was devastated that the mainstream media didn't pick up on it because it's just such a massive achievement, and we hear so much about gender equality. And like I said, we have constantly reminded everyone that our sport really is the most gender neutral sport that exists, where women can get in there and win it. And we thought for sure that this would be a game changer, but for some reason, it's just been pushed to one side almost, and I tell you, we're pretty devastated about it, and we're really disappointed with the media.
Yeah, it's the whole thing of the media will always report on something when it's bad, not when it's good. Like, I'm sure if there was an accident out there, it might have gotten on the news or something like that. But there was some contact being made with some TV shows like The Project. I don't know if you guys see that over there, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do.
So there was some contact being made there, and I mean, I had the Australian newspaper contact me today just saying well done and all that, and I sort of thought, well, that's interesting. Are they going to do something with it? Or, I think it is it can definitely be a little bit disappointing that when just a major achievement has been made, and look, it still may happen. There still may be some things come out of it. I know 9 News jumped straight onto it, so I'd done a story with them prior to the event. And they pretty much, in the days following the event, they were straight onto the main 9 News website and put that I'd once taken the championship out and how good it was and all this. So I thought that was great to see, at least.
Okay. Look, Kelly, are there any other people that along this amazing journey that you'd like to mention? I know your sponsors, Fuchs Australia and YBI Creative. Is there anyone else out there?
Oh, look, I mean, just as, along with our sponsors, as you just mentioned there, obviously the Lamattina family and all the crew guys, like, they're, in general, I guess everybody recognises the driver and the team, like as in the owners of the teams and things like that. But those crew guys are damn hard workers and they do a lot to make this whole deal happen. So, I mean, it's good on the crew guys, I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm really proud of all them for everything they achieved, and also Aaron Hambridge, the crew chief. We're not long before we're back into it again, and and I guess just everybody out there. I mean, I just want to say a massive thank you for the support from the drag racing community. Like, it's just been unreal. Yeah. So
No, I think what you've done is amazing. Not just amazing for drag racing, but as we said, for sport and gender equalisation right across this nation. And I really hope that people get behind you and what you've done. Given the fact that Brittany Force won last year's NHRA Top Fuel Championship, we've had Erica Ender-Stevens win 2 in 14 and 15. And Rochelle making a comeback to the sport as well. I think what you girls have done is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you on the interview.
I mean, hopefully some things pop up with it all in the coming weeks. But let's see how we go. All we can do is just keep pushing for all this sort of stuff and doing the best we can out there on the track. So it's certainly getting recognised from a certain extent, I suppose.
Well, Kelly, from myself and from Simon, really appreciate the time you've made tonight. I know it's after hours over there, so I really appreciate the time you've taken out tonight to speak with us on the Talk and Power podcast.
Oh, good. Well, it was a good chat. Thank you very much.
No worries.
It was our pleasure, Kelly.
Thank you very much.
And good luck for next season.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Hopefully we'll chat again, hey?
Definitely. Yeah, I'd really appreciate that. That'd be great.
Okay, cool.
Take care. See you, Kelly.
See you, Kelly.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Kelly Bettes, Australia's latest Top Fuel champion. What an awesome person to chat to.
Yeah, definitely. I really got a lot out of that, actually.
Great interview. It's a real shame that the mainstream media haven't picked up on it. You listen to all this bullshit all the time about gender equality, and there you go, at the pinnacle of motorsport, as far as I'm concerned. I watched an interview the other day with Erebus, Now, talking about how it costs $50,000 to take 2 cars to a test day, and how it's a big chunk of their budget. It costs $15,000 per run if nothing breaks on a top fuel car.
Yep.
Right? And they're worried about 50 grand. It's just pathetic. And it's pathetic that we're not getting the media coverage in drag racing that we deserve.
Yep.
It is still the most powerful motorsport on the planet, bar none.
And for all, I didn't mention it in the interview with Kelly, but for all those consumers on the eastern seaboard, when you're in Coles and Woolworths, please buy Lamattina carrots.
Yes.
There's a picture of Angelo on the front. You can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. The Carrot Kings.
They are the Carrot Kings. If you're in WA, I don't think they get their carrots over here, but we have local growers. But over in the eastern seaboard, support the Lamattina brothers.
Other championship winners. We'll probably get this out before the Thunder guys do. A bit slack.
Almost.
Almost. Pro Slammer.
Yep.
The Moits team took it.
Yep.
35 points in the end. That championship was decided in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
Zap, unfortunately, the car turned right and headed for the wall, scraped the wall, had to pedal it, and that was it. That was the championship gone. I actually spoke to Zap. He was in quite good spirits. And I mean, 11 championships in a row. It's nothing to... I don't think the feat will ever be repeated, personally.
No,
I don't think anyone will be able to match that.
Not indoor slammer, no.
But he said to me that he's still got a few tricks up his sleeve. He's going to be... he took it, sort of fairly conservative because he really wanted to get that 12th championship. But now he's going to go back to the old Zap where he's doing a lot of testing between... racing and at the local events here. So look forward to seeing some 550s next season, maybe.
Yeah.
Bit of luck.
Yeah.
Steve Ham is also another one. Bit of a dark horse there. They top qualified, obviously. I believe that Stuart Rowland is tuning that car, and he's got that hot rod going fast.
Yep.
Yep. So congratulations to the Moits team.
Yep.
It was a hard-fought championship, and great to see the championship go down to the wire like that.
Yeah, it did. It was an exciting race. The live feed wasn't too bad on OVO Mobile. We streamed that right through the TV.
Yeah, it was great.
It was
great.
It was pretty good. And yet, look, I also spoke with Zap on the weekend. I saw him at the Hot Rod Show. He had his car there and was being very accessible to all the people that attended the show, even letting children sit in the car.
I believe your son sat in the
son. He's only 8 and he struggled getting in there. I don't know how Zap gets in there. And me, forget about it. I'm never getting in there. You couldn't fit me through the cage. But yeah, no, it was really nice, and it was good to catch up with him.
So other championship winners, Pro Alcohol Steve Reed once again went really close. 36 points in it in the end.
Yep.
Top bike Chris Matheson just walked away with the championship.
He did.
Probably didn't even need to show up at the last 2 events.
Yeah. Look, I just want to touch on Chris Matheson as well. Arguably, we will never know, but in the semi, potentially ran a 5.
Yeah, I know.
No time
I heard
recorded.
that. Yeah, no time recorded. And I guess this is something that Thunder needs to look at. If they're going to run Grudge King style events, they should let the racers know. So,
I didn't know where you're going with that. There you go.
NTR. For those of you that don't know, that means no time recorded.
Oh, God.
So it's a big thing in America. They actually gamble
huge
at the track.
Yeah. Lots of money. Changes hands. Thousands.
More, tens of thousands. Aaron Tremaine by 141 points in Pro Stock. Probably didn't need to show up at the last event either.
Well, his brother was in second place, so, bit of brotherly love there.
And Pro Stock Bike, Morris Allen, that was right to the wire, 14 points.
Yeah.
14 points.
Yep.
So, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, huge weekend for motorsport. Canadian Grand Prix.
Yeah, that was the previous weekend. We had the Canadian GP. We probably... I'm going to call it was probably the most boring, the boringest race we've had all year. And
come on, mate. Vettel won.
No,
Ferrari
Vettel
to the
won.
front.
Like Lewis Hamilton was that upset by it that he got his friend there to wave the checkered flag a lap early. And That was,
No, I don't think it changed the outcome.
no, it didn't. It didn't. Well, it robbed Sergio Perez. Well, we're talking about it. It robbed Sergio Perez one spot, it relegated him back to 14th.
So for those of you
that robbed Daniel Ricciardo's fastest lap.
Fastest lap, that's correct. For those of you that didn't hear the controversy, supermodel and friend of Lewis Hamilton, Winnie Harlow, accidentally waved the checkered flag 1 lap too early.
Yeah.
And under the FIA rules, if the race is declared prior to the subscribed finish, the results are taken from the lap prior. So in this case, the results were taken from lap 68.
Yep. So it was... Look, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it was actually Winnie's fault. I think she was given the flag and instructed to wave it. So I'm amazed in this day and age that this sort of stuff happens.
I know, but you know, if you're going to say that there was some sort of communication, you know, unless they were they were in Montreal, I guess maybe they were talking French.
Possibly. Yeah, that's right.
Because it is, it is a French province, Montreal, but I mean, Canada in general, they speak English.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, look, we saw Lewis had now Mercedes weren't able to take an engine upgrade to this race. Most of the other teams did, except for Mercedes. Testing, or they weren't quite happy with the development of the new engine, went back to their existing engine. Probably showed. I mean, Lewis had a power unit issue. That's what they define them as now. We don't know what the issues are, just power unit. So Hamilton had to pit on lap 37. They did a reset and he got some of his pace back. But I think they'd be pretty keen, those guys, to get that sorted out.
Anyway, so something more interesting. MotoGP on the weekend, Catalonia.
Yep. So before the race, I mean, we had a bit unfolding prior to the race. So it came out, I think, about a week after the previous race. Jorge Lorenzo, he is going to Honda. Now,
George is off to Honda.
Now, I know you have some thoughts on this.
Oh, look, I didn't really like... I mean, it would be really difficult being the manager of Ducati at the moment because George just threw Ducati straight under the bus at the last round. Now, we spoke about this earlier on in the year, and I said, when it comes time for the contracts to be renewed, you're going to see him pull something out of his ass. Yeah. And, now apparently the new fuel tanks, I've heard that the new Ducati fuel tanks are in hot demand worldwide. Sold out already. So for those of you that don't know, basically what Jorge has said at the because he won the last round, and he said at the end of the race that he'd been asking for this new fuel tank. Now, for those of you that don't ride, you're leaning on the fuel tank and you're leaning off the fuel tank going into the corners. It is pretty crucial. The shape of it does have an effect on how you ride, and apparently he was saying that. The reason he was able to get out fast in the beginning was because he had his strength, and then because of the shape of the fuel tank, it was tiring him out, right? I personally think that maybe it was the tyre selection, but maybe it was a bit of both. I don't know. Nonetheless, he threw him under the bus. No ifs, no buts. And now that he's hot to trot, he's come along and undercut fellow Spaniard Pedrosa there and pinched his spot basically. So it's going to be interesting next season to see. Like, we don't know how much money they paid. I think Ducati paid €14 million.
It won't be that much
to get. No way, because he went knocking on their door. Usually when that happens, it's they're sort of going, we don't really need you. But what it is going to do is, if he intends, I mean, a lot of people, including myself, are sort of going, why don't you just quit? It's not like, he's a multi-millionaire. Yeah. He's had his day in the sun.
Yep.
Give it, do a stoner. Just kick back and relax and enjoy it. Maybe do some testing for one of the teams, whatever, But if he intends on trying to be the next Valentino Rossi, then he's going to have to step on Marquez's toes. Right? Now, they don't like that at Honda. You know what I mean? They're very much a team orders kind of team. So next season's going to be very, very interesting. But look, let's get back to the race. Right? nearly half the field crashed, fell off, or, my favourite bit, caught on fire.
I saw that, yes. Yeah, look, I mean, and during, I know you want to talk about the race, but also during qualifying as well, Marquez, what an amazing save that was.
Yes.
He was basically, the bike was on its side. He was on his knees, his legs, for probably...
Yeah, but we've seen him do that. We've seen him and Rossi do it. They're a pair of freaks.
Tell you what, I haven't seen it. Like, there was actual smoke coming off the tyres because the sidewall of the tyre was actually dragging along the ground and still managed to get it back up again.
Yeah. Well, the round before, he tried.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, it was a great ride from Jorge. I mean, I think he's really starting to stamp his authority. I'm amazed by the fact that it took a year and a half to sort this fuel tank. I'm not quite
No, I'm not sold on it either. I think it was just, we're getting close to the... And you probably find, it would not surprise me if Honda said yes, but they're still negotiating the actual amount.
Yeah.
And he's racking up the wins going, put another zero on it, boys. Put another zero on it.
No, that's right. What did you think of Marquez testing during the week? Was it just a publicity gimmick? He was he took the Red Bull 2012 car out.
I don't know what to make of it. I mean, he did well. They reckon he did well. And, I heard some comments around the traps about, that's the motorcycle riders generally do well when they test in cars. But I'm going to call bullshit on that one. And the reason I'm going to call bullshit is because the braking distance on a bike is completely different to a car. You can go really deep in the corner with a car. You can't do that with a bike, right? Yep. You can't. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
So, what do they mean by really well?
Yeah, I saw some of the video footage. I mean, he didn't set the world on fire, but he didn't stove the car in either. So
No. Like, he did well relative to, one of the guys from Top Gear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Richard Hammond.
Richard Hammond, yeah.
Even though too well compared to him.
Yeah, but I think it's also fair to say that Richard Hammond tested on a very tight track.
Yep.
And that's not a tight track where he was testing. And that's the thing. If you've got, the blisteringly long straights and you're getting on the brakes early because that's what you're used to on a motorbike, well, you're going to get the temperature in the brakes. You're going to get temperature in the tyres. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I mean, have we actually ever seen anyone transition from two wheels onto four successfully?
No. Even Casey's attempted it at the Red Bull team didn't really pay off. When I say Red Bull,
Wayne Gardner,
Triple Eight, yeah.
Wayne Gardner
probably had probably out of all of them.
He gave it a good go, but it wasn't like he jumped in there and he was, like a front runner.
No, certainly not.
You know what I mean?
No.
So, and I don't think Marquez would. I mean,
does he need to? I wouldn't have thought so.
Nah. And, how many more years has he got in MotoGP? He's got a lifetime ahead of him in MotoGP, you know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
So, I think it was just a bit of a publicity stunt. But, hey, I could be wrong. We might see him, driving Formula One.
Yeah. What about Dovi? Where's he at? It's another race he's dropped the bike.
I don't know. I think... I got nothing for you there.
Yeah, I'm
devastated. I'm devastated. But the championship, it's still like Marquez hasn't run away with it. You know what I mean? Rossi's in there with a chance. Rossi's really riding well. He seems to be getting his focus back, and I think the more podiums that we see him on, you're going to see more of that. At the end of the day, those three bikes, the Ducati has definitely got more inline speed. But in saying that, I didn't really see that dominance at this event. And with that straight, I thought that I've seen it. Like, I would have seen physically the Ducati pulling away from the Honda, but it wasn't there. But the Yamaha, you'd have to say it's a heap of shit compared to the other two. Which is sad because... They've probably got the best guy in the world at developing these bikes. He made the Honda a race-winning bike. He made the Yamaha a race-winning bike. So, it's a bit sad that they're just not making it happen.
Yeah.
So I mean, hopefully they'll find something for Rossi, because if he had, I'm confident that if he was on a Honda or a Ducati, But then again, he did have a crack when Stoner was on the Ducati, and everyone said it was the bike. No one could ride that thing. Stoner was the only guy that could get it to go around the track.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So
look, all I'm interested in is the fact that it's going to be a fight to the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that is so awesome. It's great to see championships. And that's another reason why it pisses me off that we don't get the coverage that we deserve in drag racing. Top Fuel went down to the wire. Top Door Slammer went down to the wire. Pro Stock Bike went down to the wire.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Even Pro Alcohol. Went down to the wire as well.
So why is it that the mainstream media just ignores it?
Yeah.
It's really, really sad. Really, really sad.
I mean, I was frustrated with the whole Top Fuel thing and the Kelly Betts thing, and that's why I thought I raised that question with the sounding board. But I thought, well, you know what? Let's just get Kelly on, and we'll do our bit as best we can.
It seems ridiculous that you should have to buy time to promote something that's so amazing, so incredible.
Anyway, it's just It is sad that we've come to that point in the sport, haven't we? So
not that point in the world, not in the sport, in the way the world manipulates people. So next race for MotoGP.
So the next race is the TT at Assen. TT circuit
in the Netherlands.
In the Netherlands, yep.
Excellent.
Yeah, that will be the 1st of July. Great way to start the financial year.
Excellent.
V8 Supercars. Darwin.
Follow the leader.
There was follow the leader or follow the oil trail, as Red Bull would have you think. The Sunday race was... They had some oil surge issues. It's very vague from Penske DJR as to what the issues actually were, but Scotty's car had some oil surge problems. They were in second place, blowing a little bit of smoke when it first happened. It happened early in the race. It sort of tapered off, and at the end of the race came back again. Wasn't too bad. I didn't think it was black flag worthy. Neither did the stewards, but Triple Eight obviously did. Because they had Jamie Whincup behind him, of course.
Yeah.
So, look, the usual story.
So what did the chief steward, Mark Scaife, have to say about it?
They felt that it wasn't too bad either. So,
really?
Look, yeah. No, I believe that they...
He won't be getting his backhanded this week.
I like the way you referred to him as a chief steward, Mark Scope. But look, I mean, it was certainly a storm in a teacup in my view. I really don't think it was worthy of a black flag, and he didn't get one. Scotty won on the Saturday race as well. Yep. Got away. I think this strategy of theirs, pitting early, and
paying off.
Yeah,
get the car in some clean air.
It's what they call the undercut, and it certainly worked for them the last few races. They did it again on the Sunday race. However, Davey Reynolds was just better at it, and the Erebus team got the win on the Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't know if the oil surge issues really played a part in it. I wouldn't have thought so. It didn't look like it was slowing down Scotty. But, at the end of the day, they got home for a second place on the Sunday as well. So it was really good to see Davey Reynolds. I think he's finding his stride now, and I think the things that happened in Adelaide where he sort of kind of let Van Gisbergen go, I think he's learnt a lot from that, and I'm starting to see it in his driving now as well.
Yeah, I think everyone's been a bit harsh on him with that. Yeah, I think that was a sign of maturity.
Yep.
If he had have pulled or blocked the move, right, and crashed, everyone would have been going,
it would have been up in arms.
Yeah, so, hey, I really think he's come a long way, and the Erebus team were very, very smart to sign him up.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Certainly were. The original Shoei, well, I don't know if he was the original Shoei, but he did it before Daniel did.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is he gonna try and do something with the intellectual property there that Formula One's registered? Is he going to release a shoe to do the shoe out of?
Couldn't tell you. Don't know. But
that puts the IP in contention, doesn't it? I mean, Daniel's from Australia, and he probably saw it and went, "That's a good idea."
Well, yeah.
I'll pull that on the international stage.
I think it was the Gold Coast race, perhaps. I'd have to look into it, but I know Davey Reynolds did it long before Daniel did.
So this was a support race for Indy or the Gold Coast? Just
no, it was their own Gold Coast.
Own. Yeah. No one watched it.
No.
So it probably wasn't.
I watched it. Speaking of V8 supercars, sort of unrelated, ZB Commodore not selling well.
Do you wonder why?
Not selling well at all. I've actually test driven for different reasons, not on this podcast, but
you don't think it's the price?
It's a lot of money for a smaller car. That's all I'll say.
If you were going to buy a car like that, particularly the all-wheel drive version, wouldn't you buy the Stinger instead? It's a better looking car.
Yeah.
It's fast. I saw one at the Motorplex running in the 12s.
Yeah.
You know, it's just I think it's even cheaper.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to disclose too much here. As I said, I test drove it for different reasons that aren't
don't
related
want to disclose
to
whether you sign a
No,
confidentiality agreement.
of course not. But I felt that the 4-cylinder turbo version was okay, but for what I was test driving it for, I guess it would suit its purpose. The V6 all-wheel drive one was a better car, still for $45,000. Well, I'm not sold yet, but anyway.
So how much is the 4-cylinder turbo?
It's not much less. It's coming in at 42.
That's what I mean. See, they need to make these cars around 36, 37.
The base model's 36, 37, but if you go RS, if you step up to an RS, which is the bigger rims, and
Rally Sport
or whatever, holding the corner.
I didn't know they were racing those in the World Rally.
that attracts a premium price, unfortunately. But look, the car's nice, but it's not. I think it's overpriced. And look, I mean, I'm not talking out of school when I say that. I don't think I'm talking out of school. The sales.
Brings you back to the VB Commodore days, doesn't it?
I'll give you some numbers here. Holden the first quarter of the year sold 77 units, an average of 77 units per dealership. 77.
Wow, that's still more than I would have thought.
This is not Commodore. This is overall their range.
Oh, rightio.
All Holden cars.
All Holden cars.
They averaged out through their dealer network in the first quarter of the year 77 vehicles. Toyota 255.
Wow.
So I'm not saying anything,
but you
the
know,
numbers speak
the
themselves.
thing is, the obviously businesses, buy a lot of cars. The government buys a phenomenal amount of cars, a ridiculous amount of cars, right? I don't know about now, but it used to be they'd rack up about 40,000 Ks and then flick them,
that's
right?
Correct, yeah.
So the government never really got behind the auto industry in the last 10 years, in my opinion.
No, definitely not. No.
We used to see a few Commodores purchased by the police. But, the one that really just pissed me off was when I saw that the federal government replaced all the statesmans with BMWs.
Yeah.
I thought, you got to be joking,
Yeah.
So, yeah, a bit sad.
It is
sad.
Yeah.
And you know what else is sad? So now we've got no local industry, no local automotive industry, but we've still got a luxury car tax and we've still got limitations on which cars can be imported. And they try and hide behind it's about, safety standards. Yeah, I don't know about that because some of the cars that you are allowing into the country aren't very safe. And arguably don't meet emissions.
Unfortunately, the Mustang would arguably almost fall into that. Not emissions, but safety.
Safety. One of the worst on the
two-star.
road. Yeah.
The probability of actually being killed in the Mustang sitting in the back is quite high, believe it or not, and a high-speed impact in the back. Yeah,
but the probability of a Mustang travelling at high speed is quite low. Particularly if you bought the turbo 4-cylinder version.
This is coming from Ford people.
Yeah, I know.
Hot Rod and Street Machine Spectacular was on this weekend. Went down there to the Claremont Showgrounds. Great event.
Now there was a really good Mustang there.
Yeah, there was. That was awesome. That Mustang actually won the top exhibition award. That was Greg Dale's Mustang Funny Car.
Yep.
Awesome car.
Now that's a Nostalgia Nitro car?
That's correct, yeah. Yep.
Look forward to seeing it run.
Yeah. No, beautiful car, well presented. I I didn't know that car was actually in Western Australia. This is the thing with these shows, is you go there and you realise how many of these cars are actually... Most of these cars are local, and that car was from WA, so I'm really looking forward to see that car.
Yep.
It's actually too nice to race, believe it or not. But anyway...
it was after it's raced.
It's a beautiful car, well presented. Top debut was a guy I know, actually, great guy, Paul Castagna, not Castagna. Castagna?
Castagna, like the nut.
That's right. So his 1932 Ford Coupe was debuted there. Beautiful car. Got some photos. I'll be putting them on our Facebook page. You can see all these cars there. Top Street Machine was friend of the podcast for Post 71, friend of the podcast, Jamie Paolucci, Race Wars event director. He's also got a really cool 1975 Mercedes. Beautiful car, though.
Yeah.
Great car. Top Street Machine overall, Stuart Vernon's, his 1969 Camaro. Maguire's Superstars Street Machine, Matt Nile, his 1966 Galaxy, amazing car.
Yeah.
Got to see it. From out of the Chronic Customs garage.
Yeah.
Amazing car. You really got to see that car up close and personal. I was probably spent 20 minutes looking at that car. And also there was the Batman car, a replica of the Batman, the original Batman car.
Now, isn't it amazing? That car has been on TV all over Australia, the Batman car. Yet Kelly Betts, nothing.
Yeah. Look, I don't want to take anything away from the Batman car, but the Batman car as a TV car does nothing for me. I'm not a big fan of the car, but get up close and personal with this car and you just have an appreciation for the
detail,
fab work that's gone into this thing. Was amazing. And the gentleman that built it, really friendly fellow, spent
look, I'm not trying to take anything away from it. I just think that it's ironic that, you know, particularly like I said earlier, that, you know, that the media is like Triple J just drowns me every day, and all of this gender equality, and how, you know, we need more CEOs that are female, and, you know, we need to pump the women's AFL and etc., the women's rugby and the women's cricket, you know. But you get someone like Kelly, who's an amazing person and has been through this incredible journey, you know, starting from junior dragsters, working your way up to Top Fuel. I mean, it's incredible. And to drive one of those vehicles, something that's got 10,000 horsepower, accelerates to over 500 kilometres an hour in under 4 seconds, pulls more G-force than a fighter plane.
Yeah.
And, you know, crickets.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
Yeah. So, all right, we'll have to... This podcast comes to an end. Simon, thanks for coming in. I want to mention as well to you, question without notice, but we've got a blog. You probably don't even know, but we've got a blog on our website, and I write on there every week. So you're open. You can put something on the blog as well if you want. Some thoughts.
Because, you know, I've got heaps of time up my sleeve, Nick, you know. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet, but we may have picked up a new sponsor.
Yep.
A clothing company.
All right. Okay.
Right. I'm not
work in progress.
Work in progress. We're working on it. So, you know, we'll see how this pans out. It might be big.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned it before, so no, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
We've got some things in the pipeline, people. Not just the blog. So, if you want, get on our website. We've got a blog there. I write once a week. I try to anyway, regarding all sorts of things. I think Formula 1 TV rights was one of them, and the V8 supercars. And anyway, my thoughts are there. Sponsors, All Fast Torque Converters. That's you sitting right there. Shift Kits Australia, Jamie. Go and check Jamie out. I spoke with Jamie the other day. He's doing some really great things with GPS tracking on not just show cars now, tractors, UTVs, RTVs, bobcats, skid steers.
Yeah, listen, he has been in the forefront of GPS technology for many, many, many years.
Yep.
And not a lot of people would know this, but before it was common for GPS driven speedos, he'd already built God knows how many, and had him operating in his own cars and his brother's car.
Yep.
He does some amazing work, and I don't know if you've been lucky enough to see some of the builds, but I like to just pop by there just to check it out. It's unbelievable, some of the stuff that he does.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, CAN bus and stuff like that, integration, getting late model running gear to work outside of the car without all the, like body control modules and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It's more than just what he does is more than just wiring. It's amazing, really.
Yeah, yep. So yeah, check Jamie out at shiftkits.com.au. WA suspension, Stu, benzene detailing, and Monster Talk. I saw their sticker on the back of Clint's Capri at the Hot Rod Show. Monster Talk.
Yeah.
I'll be tuning that car. Performance turbos, Taps race pipes, CRD nitrous. And also to the guys at Street Machine and Hot Rod Spectacular, they distributed a whole lot of flyers for us as well.
And also a big thank you to Kelly Betts for coming on the show.
Thanks to Kelly Betts and the entire Lamattina family, and for their future endeavours.
Yeah, good luck to them this coming season.
Yeah.
It's like the season doesn't seem to stop now. We've just had the winters, and we're about to roll into Darwin.
The 13th of July, up in Darwin. Can't wait for it. All right, Simon, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us, Nick.
No worries. Take care.
See you on the street.
See ya.
Talk and Power stresses all characters and events on this podcast, even those based on real people, are entirely fictional. All celebrity voices are impersonated poorly. We do not encourage street racing or the use of turbochargers.